Oh my God. Something big has happened. And I gotta get it on for you guys. I gotta tell you because it's happening really fast. Let's get the chart started right here and take a look at what's happening. This is crazyville. This is nuts. This is totally nuts. Trump plans to convene the Plunge Protection Team, the PPT. And Treasury Secretary Munchkin says investors will now move from bonds into stocks. They say he's clueless about how the market works, but yes, you can sell a bond before maturity. But if the bond market is crashing, you're going to take a tremendous loss on trying to sell a bond before maturity if the bond market is crashing. And honest to God, this is crazyville. Listen to what they're going to do. It says, President Trump now advocates intervening in the markets if he does not like the direction of the stock market. This is serious crazy, but please consider top Trump officials have called bankers and will convene the Plunge Protection Team. U.S. President Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary called the U.S. bankers on Sunday amid ongoing rout on Wall Street and made plans to convene a group of officials known as the Plunge Protection Team. Today I convened individual calls with CEOs of the nation's 6 largest banks, said Treasury Secretary. It was shortly before the financial markets were due to open in Asia. The Treasury said that in a statement, Mnuchin talked to the chief executives of Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo. And it says the CEOs of these banks confirmed they have ample liquidity available for lending, the secretary said. Okay, I got to stop here. I got to say something. They're talking about they have ample liquidity available for lending. I do not doubt that these banks have ample liquidity. That liquidity has been in a liquidity trap from quantitative easing. And I've talked about that liquidity many, many times. It's in the liquidity trap that these banks have. And it's a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay? Now, you have to understand, if they lend that money out, they only have to keep 1/10 on reserve. So they can create, through the power of fractional reserve banking, these bankers can create 10 times the amount of money in this loan. But now, who are they going to lend to? Because investors out there, right, they're not borrowing any money now, especially since interest rates have went up. So who are they going to lend this money to? And it's going to take a tremendous amount of money to stop this plunge in the markets. Whose balance sheet is it going to go on? Well, I don't see any investors stepping up to the plate. Okay? I can only assume that this money is going to have to go on maybe the Treasury's balance sheet or on the Plunge Protection Team's balance sheet or just whose balance sheet? Because they're going to need like $1 trillion to stop this market collapse. Okay? Maybe more. Okay? This is quantitative easing, but circumventing the Federal Reserve. So they're going to go back to easy monetary policy and circumvent the Federal Reserve. I mean, I don't see any other way around this. They are going to create money through fractional reserve banking, but it circumvents the Federal Reserve's money creation tool. So this is a form of monetary stimulus. A very powerful form of monetary stimulus. Okay? Can we say hyperinflation? Okay, but that's only if they're successful. Okay, this is a point I want to make. We do have a precedent for this. Back in the stock market crash of October of 1929, okay, it says that a record amount of stocks were traded. It says U.S., J.P. Morgan, and a few other bankers. Sounds like the same guys that are sitting around the table now. J.P. Morgan and a few other bankers, okay? It says they attempted to bail out the banking system using their own money. Okay? So what they were doing was the same game. says they were unsuccessful. Why do we have to believe that they're going to be any more successful today? It says their move led to a slight increase in stock price on Saturday, October 26th. So they did create a little bounce in the market. That's what they did. Could the same thing happen again? Could these bankers, using the plunge protection team, create a bounce in the market coming probably early this year? Okay? So maybe we should look for a little bounce in the market when these guys get active and start to put this money out there. It says, but over the weekend, many investors lost faith in the stocks and decided to sell their shares. When the market reopened on Monday, October 28th, 1929, another record number of stocks were traded and the stock market declined 22%. Does history repeat itself or what? This is getting scary, and I'm going to tell you why this is scary. Why this is scary is this reaction from the government, from Trump, President Trump, and Treasury Secretary Mnuchin. This reaction tells me that we're dealing with something very, very serious here, probably as serious as 1929. When they take this quick of action, and they've already convened the meeting, look, it says they've already talked with the chief executives of these banks. Okay? When they work this quick, we're dealing with something extremely serious here. We're going to have to see if they're successful. If they are successful, what they're going to do is inject, could I say, trillions of dollars into the economy. They're backdooring it in through the market. Okay? They'll prop the market back up. But this is getting to be crazyville. What are the government going to do? Are they going to buy everything? Are they going to start buying the gold and the silver and the stock market and the S&P 500 and the Bitcoin and everything? Everything? Are they going to buy everything? And whose balance sheet are they going to put all that money on? And is that money going to have to be paid back? I guarantee you that these banks, okay, right here, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Chase, yeah, they're ready to lend money. They love lending money. This is how they make money. They make money by lending money. Oh, yeah, they love it. But whose balance sheet are they going to put it on? And that money's going to have to be paid back. It's going to increase the debt. But not only that, if they inject all that money, all that liquidity, and if they're successful at propping the stock market up, can we say hyperinflation? I'm going to tell you, hyperinflation wouldn't start immediately, but we'd see a decline in the value of the dollar, because when this money starts to make its way into the system, you know, this is like just pouring pure liquidity. It's like, I don't know. This is getting crazy. I never saw this coming. I think as soon as Christmas is over, the next day when the stores open up, I think I'm going to run to the dollar store. I'm going to get some glass containers, the biggest ones I can find with a nice steel lid on them. And I'm going to fill them up with dried, cracked, split peas, with rice, with also with beans, dried beans. And I'm going to try to do as many as I can get done, you know, and put them away. These glass containers with this food in them. You know, because this is the best kind of food you can get, really, seriously, if you're in some sort of a crisis. Better than these things that are all pre-prepared and stuff in a plastic package. You know, you buy that stuff and they say, oh, it'll last 30 years. Yeah, it'll last 30 years because it's been through an irradiation machine. They run it down a conveyor belt through this big gamma ray radiation machine, or some type of rays. Anyway, did you know all those Tetra Paks you buy, you see them in the store? You walk down an aisle, they got all these little square boxes, you know, you put the straw in. You've ever seen them? Okay? They got milk down there, in there, different types of milk and stuff like that. Have you ever wondered why it never goes bad? And they don't need to keep it warm or anything? It's because those Tetra Pak containers, you know, they run them through that machine. Germs won't grow in that stuff. Nothing will grow in that stuff. It's Frankenstein food, you know. I mean, I try to stay away from those. I mean, the plastic containers are bad enough, and the aluminum containers. Well, they want aluminum inside of us? Aluminum is not something we were made to eat, you know. And when they put pop inside an aluminum can, you know, we're not supposed to eat aluminum, even in microscopic amounts, you know, parts per million. We're not supposed to eat that stuff. When they put it in a plastic bottle, well, the plastic leaches into it. This is why an awful lot of young men that were born quite recently, you know, there's estrogen and stuff in those plastics. And quite seriously, these young men haven't developed properly. That's why this is happening, because of the plastic and the waters and stuff. Glass is the best thing that you can put stuff in. And they used to use glass in the old days extensively. The milk bottles were all glass. You'd turn them back in. They'd clean them, and they'd reuse them over and over and over again. They're reusable. This is the way we should be going, not plastic and, I mean, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked, but this is serious. This is very serious. Thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next show. Bye-bye, guys.